recording here. There you go.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. My name is Edgar Barrales, and I am a Student Life Coordinator / Study Abroad Officer at the American University of Rome. I'd like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity to talk about AUR, its programs, a little bit about our housing and student life, and of course, answer any questions that there may be. So I'd like to start off with a PowerPoint, and I will be brief. Just bear with me for a second here. There we go, right? AUR. I actually was a student at one point at AUR. I studied for 4 years, starting in 2008, and then graduated in 2011. And since then, I've just worked in student life, student affairs, so I can give you the ins and outs of AUR. But what I can underline is the fact that AUR is a small liberal arts college located in Rome, Italy. Every semester, we have about 450 students from all different parts of the world. Half of them are study abroad, so students that spend either a semester or a full academic year with us. And the rest are actual degree-seeking students, so students that want to get a degree with us in one of the 10 BA programs that we have. We have about 35 different nationalities represented on campus, and but of course, the language of instruction is English. So this is a view of AUR from the skies. So we're actually located on top of the Janiculum Hill, not one of the original 7 hills of Rome. And we are located on top of the Janiculum / the neighborhood of Monteverde Vecchio. It's a very quiet residential area with a lot of institutes of cultural influence. We have the American Academy up the street. And of course, there is a bit of greenery, 2 parks in the area. So it's a perfect spot to just go and study. And we'll talk about the location of our housing at a later point. So other things about AUR, we're originally accredited university, and I believe we got our accreditation back in 2010, if I remember correctly. And one of the important things about AUR is that we try to use Rome as our classroom. I myself remember taking numerous on-site courses in art history, but also there are courses in fine arts, courses that the business department offers, in IR department, international relations, that not only take you within the city of Rome, but also to other European cities. For example, the business department every now and then organizes trips to Bologna or Sicily to study the businesses there. And the IR department in the past has gone off to Brussels, Berlin, London, and other important locations. And then in terms of resources to ensure your success, we have numerous help desks and just other important issues to services. And we'll be talking about other opportunities that we offer in terms of student life that can also help students integrate into the local community and of course learn important skills like teamwork, leadership, and so forth. And of course, the resources available in terms of campus doctor, counseling, and emergency assistance. So why study at AUR? The number one reason is because of just the location. Again, we're trying to use Rome as the actual classroom. And then also the fact that the classes are small. I remember sitting in a class that had about 15 students, so you're able to connect with other classmates and of course connect with your professors on different level. So you build relationships with them, and of course you are given the assistance that you need. So these are a couple of the disciplines that are covered. So as you can see, the focus is on the humanities, the liberal arts, and Italian language. Some programs do require Italian language as a requirement, But even if it's not a requirement, we do encourage students to engage in Italian language courses. So you may be interested in very introductory level Italian 100 that deals with just basic hello, ciao, how to order coffee, how to get groceries, and so forth. As I mentioned earlier, our campus is quite diverse. We have about 35 different nationalities represented on campus. And this is something unique because in class, professors encourage you to share opinions. So you really come to understand the difference of opinion and just exchange different viewpoints. And I think that that opportunity that I had when I was a student was useful. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things, differences of culture, but also just what was going on in different parts of the world. So here's a sample of the courses that we offer. So as you can see, there's a whole range of them. We have Sports and Society. Sicily Against the Mafia is actually a 1-credit field trip that takes place over a weekend. And I remember taking this course. So basically professors during these 1-weekend courses, they have you meet as a group with a professor a couple times before the actual trip. And then they let you know where to meet. So in this case, Sicily, I remember meeting in Palermo, Sicily, Friday morning. And then we met the professor there and then we started going around Sicily. So we went to different destinations, different spots of interest, of course, small towns, and talked with a lot of people that are fighting against the mafia in Sicily. Arts of Renaissance and Baroque, so a great opportunity to get to know the monuments, works of art that a lot of the galleries have here in Rome. So Caravaggio, Bernini, and other important artists. And as you can see, food and culture is also offered. And the professor who leads this course takes you to different points in Rome. There's also an excursion as part of this course. And I believe the course has you go to Florence for a weekend. So there might be this excursion component to a course. If you're studying, for example, Florence during the Renaissance, then one weekend the professor said, okay, we'll need to go to Florence to study this and that. So here are examples of the different academic opportunities that we offer on campus. As I mentioned, the field trips to Italian businesses or European businesses or political organizations. And these courses are organized by the IR department or the business department. We have special lectures organized every now and then through the business department, the international relations, but also other departments try to organize 1 or 2 lectures throughout the semester. A lot of these lectures are mandatory. So professors may say, okay, in lieu of this class, let's say, we're gonna actually go to the lecture this evening. So just an FYI. And our faculty is quite diverse. They all come from different parts of the world, but they have experience teaching in the American system because we are an American institution. And as I mentioned earlier, we try to use Rome as our campus. So especially when it comes to the on-site courses, the first few days you will be meeting in class just to go over the syllabi, the coursework, and talk about the different books that you will be needing. And then after maybe the first or second class, you'll meet on site. So the professor will tell you, okay, we're meeting next Monday or next Tuesday, whenever the class meets, at 9 a.m. in front of the Colosseum. And you'll go around for 3 hours with the professors visiting the numerous monuments, galleries, museums that are basically organized for that day. So here are other opportunities available. Now, when it comes to the actual housing, we don't have dormitories on campus. One of the main reasons is because we don't have the space for dormitories on campus. Therefore, we do have furnished apartments in the surrounding areas near the university. And we work alongside a housing agency, and we've worked with this agency for about 20 years now. And they provide all these apartments, and the apartments are in the surrounding areas near the university. the travel times between the student units and the university ranges goes between 15 to about 30 minutes. And that's pretty normal. I actually live a bit further away, and it takes me about 40 minutes. But going back to the student units, most of them are within walking distance. So the walking will be about 15, 20 minutes. But you do have to bear in mind that we sit on top of a hill, and a lot of the housing is towards the bottom of the hill. So there is that hill that you have to consider. But what we do is when students arrive at the airport, we provide transportation, again, when they arrive on their assigned arrival date. And then once they check into housing, we make sure that they understand what is included in housing. So as you can see, here's a list of the things that come with the housing. So beds, sheets, towels, linens, basic cookware. So you don't have to worry about anything. And of course, if students end up wishing for something more personal, I don't know, more towels, then they can either ask the agency or go to the numerous shops in the areas and buy them. One of the things that students ask is, should I bring a blow dryer, hair straightener? You can get all that stuff here. Unless you have the space in your luggage, by all means, go for it. Otherwise, you can buy all that stuff here. And in terms of just moving around from the apartments to the university, there are travel instructions that are provided when you first check in. So it's great to just get an idea as to how to get from the apartments to the university. Is quite simple. It sometimes involves just taking one bus, maybe a tram to get to the closest bus stop, and then up the hill to the university. And as I mentioned, there is a housing agency that takes care of these apartments. So there is maintenance assistance provided. And of course, if there are any emergencies in the middle of the night, then the agency can intervene. What we do in terms of housing assignments, we do have students fill out a housing application, and on that housing application, students are more than welcome to write down a roommate preference, and my colleague Kathy does quite a good job at making sure that those roommate requests are honored. We just ask that both students request each other. That way we can make sure that the roommate request is honored. But every now and then we do get a couple of requests from students that, for example, would like to be closer to campus. So if that's something that you prefer, I encourage you to write that down. And if there are any issues whatsoever, then we can follow up directly with the student. So you'll have an opportunity to learn Italian language and culture. At the start, I mentioned that we do offer numerous Italian language courses. But through the Student Life Department, we also organize events that take you around Rome. This semester, it'll be a bit more difficult given the current circumstances in terms of social distancing. Fingers crossed that things do improve and we're able to go back to normal, where we can take students out to different places that organize language exchange. So it's a great opportunity to practice the Italian that you're learning in the classroom, or if you already speak Italian, improve your Italian. We also have our resident assistants, the so-called res grads, and these are upperclassmen, students that have been around for about at least 2 semesters. And their mission is to, one, act as peer mentors, but also organize events. Again, this semester will be a bit more difficult, so we have to focus on virtual events. But the idea is to organize events that will take you around Rome, get you acclimated with taking public transportation, for example. So the res grads will lead neighborhood tours, Rome tours, and sometimes they also have weekend excursions to nearby towns or lakes. And it's just a great opportunity for students to get acclimated with not only Rome, but also the nearby area. And then also here we have other opportunities that students can get involved in, different student organizations. So as you can see, it's quite diverse. And we welcome suggestions. So if students are interested, have something different in terms of interest, we do our best to connect the student with whatever is available on campus, but also off campus. I'll give you an example. Someone one day came in and said, well, I row back home. Is there a rowing club? We as an institution used to, a number of years ago, actually takes students up to Venice for like rowing competitions, but the professor who used to organize that trip is no longer with us. But it's something that our colleague Stefano Cristalli, our athletics coordinator, is trying to put together again. So good for that student that was able to come forward and say, look, why don't we have a rowing club? And this is just another example of the opportunity that students can have in terms of just exercise and sports. So we do have yoga on campus at the top of our wonderful building B with a beautiful view of Rome. Well, this picture is not so great because it's a bit cloudy. As you can see the historic city center here. And then we move on to the excursions that are offered through Student Life. And these are 2 weekend excursions. The first one goes down south to the Capri, Mount Vesuvius, Sorrento area. And it's a weekend excursion, completely optional. And students are more than welcome to sign up when they arrive in Rome and pay directly to Student Life. And basically everything's provided, transportation, lodgings in a 4-star hotel. And of course you would be responsible for lunches or just, leisure money. So if you want to go and take a boat around the island, by all means go for it. But that's a cost that you would have to be, would have to take care of. So during this trip, we have numerous stops, as you can see. So Capri, Mount Vesuvius, Sorrento, and the excavations of Pompeii. And when we do go to Pompeii, there is a guided tour. So that's part of the package there. And the other excursion takes you to Tuscany, and the same thing, everything is pretty much covered. And we spend a weekend in Tuscany. So the stops include Pisa, Florence, and then on the last day, we go to a vineyard where we have a pasta making lesson. There is also a tour of the estate, and the owners of the vineyard, they talk about the wine making process. And then we sit down for a traditional Tuscan meal that goes on for like 2 hours, but it's delicious. The perfect way to end the excursion, let's say. So these are just examples of the numerous stops that we made. The Pisa, Ponte Vecchio in Florence, and of course, David at the Accademia. And that's how I would like to conclude. So if there are any questions or just general things that you'd like to know about AUR, I'd be happy to answer them. If you would like more information about the program dates, application deadlines, any information about the program, then please speak with your study abroad advisor and Katie in this case, and she would be more than happy to give you all that information. And of course, we at AUR are available to answer any other questions that, that you may have. So we look forward to seeing you in beautiful Roma. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. That was really great and full of lots of information that I think students would really like. I know Rome is definitely a popular location for many students. It's a popular location for myself. I would love to go and see it for sure. It looks beautiful. Could you talk a little bit, I don't know how much, maybe you're not the person who knows as much about this, but a little bit about the visa process and what that kind of entails for AUR?
That is a great question. Now, speaking about spring 2021 and forward, if offices start opening up again, and we're talking about embassies or consulates at home, what we usually do is we provide visa letters. Once the student is accepted into the program, we send out visa letters to the UWP office. And those visa letters are then forwarded to the student, who then has to apply for a study visa. And the visa process is quite simple. The only thing I recommend is double checking the requirements as stated on the Italian consulate/embassy's website. They should all be the same across all consulates, but sometimes you do run into one consulate that asks for one additional document. So please double check with that. And the visa is usually issued within 10, 14 days, but I recommend that students book an appointment as soon as they know they have been accepted into the program. Reason number one is because sometimes you do run across where there are no appointments, or the appointments are a bit close to the departure date. So I recommend that students definitely book an appointment as soon as they confirm that they are going to Rome. Once the visa is issued, then students will need to register for the permit to stay. And this is mandatory under Italian law for visitors that are staying in Italy and the European Union for more than 90 days. So for those that are coming for a summer program, let's say, of course, if they're here for just one session, that is less than 90 days, so there's no need. For those that are coming from a country that doesn't need an entry visa. So the United States, in this case, citizens of the United States do not need an entry visa, but we do come across nations like China or Russia that even if you're coming here for a couple of days, you do need an entry visa. But if you're staying in Italy or the European Union for more than 90 days, then you do need to get a study visa and apply for the permit to stay. So going back, once you get your visa, you apply for the permit to stay online prior to your departure. And then once you arrive in Rome, you will meet with our immigration consultants that will basically finish the permit to stay application for you. And what do you need for that permit to stay application? It's basically the same documents that you submitted to the Italian consulate, Italian authorities back home. And there's a cost, if I remember correctly, it's about $175 for the permit to stay. Unfortunately, we don't really have a say when it comes to the cost, but that's the cost that is established by the Italian government. So that is mandatory, the permit to stay. And of course, if there are any questions, once students arrive in Rome about permit to stay, the next steps, we are happy to answer those. But we're pretty much on top of things, and we're sending out emails as to what step one is once you arrive in Rome, what is going to be step two, and so forth.
Awesome. That's really good information, I think. I know visas can be complicated, so it's always good to kind of get some information about that and kind of know what's expected of that. Another question, what for the terms, what generally are the dates of terms as far as like around what month do they start and end, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so our fall semester usually starts at the end of August. So we have an entire week dedicated to arrivals. This semester, it's a bit different given the current global emergency. But during a regular fall semester, again, we would start at the end of August. There's an entire week dedicated to arrivals because we do have students arriving from all different parts of the world. So for your students, you're assigned an arrival date, and we will go and pick up the students at the airport and take them to their housing. And then there is a week of add drop that follows the week of arrivals. And then there is a week of basically fall break sometime in October, if I remember correctly. And then the fall semester ends around mid-December, okay? In terms of spring semester, we usually start on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, if not the day after, so mid-January around the 20th. And the same thing, a week-long dedication to just arrivals, a week of add drop, and then there's a spring break in March, sometimes April, and then mid-May, that's when the spring semester ends. In terms of summer sessions, we have basically summer session 1 that starts at the very end of May and goes to the end of June, so 1 month. And then the second summer session starts on July 1st, July 2nd, and goes all the way to the 2nd of August. Yeah.
Awesome, great. It's nice to kind of line up with what our semesters do as well. So there's no like overlap or anything. So yeah. So Nee or Nina, do you guys have any questions or anything you can think of to add?
Yeah, quick question, couple
Sure.
questions. What scholarship opportunities do you have for students who are maybe looking for additional finances? And if not, then is there ability for students to work on campus if they were to come there?
That's a great question. Thank you. In terms of scholarships, we currently do not offer any scholarships to visiting students, study abroad students. Our hopes are that in the next couple of years, I will be able to do that. But for the time being, unfortunately, there are no scholarship opportunities for visiting study abroad students. When it comes to work on campus, we do have a couple of opportunities for students, but that would be for degree seeking students because you would need to have it completed at least one semester before you're able to engage in a student assistantship. But if students are looking for job opportunities in Rome on a study visa, study permit, you're able to work up to 20 hours per week, no more, because at that point you are considered as like a full-time employee, and then you would have to convert your study visa / permit into a work permit, and that is just, it's a headache, let's say.
Yeah.
But study abroad students or even resident students that decide to look for other opportunities off campus, they tend to land babysitting jobs. As I mentioned at the start of our slideshow, that the American Academy is up the street. And for those that don't know what the American Academy is, it's basically a center where scholars, post PhD students spend a year, they do research, and a lot of them do come with their families. And every now and then we get emails saying, well, we're looking for a babysitter. Do you have anybody in mind? A responsible student. And our colleague Kathy is usually the one that collects those emails. So if students are interested, they can stop by Student Life and you can put the student in contact with the family. Sometimes there are families that are looking for English-speaking students that can teach their children of these families English, or just help with just tutoring in general.
Awesome. Nee, did you have any other questions? I thought you said you had one more.
Yeah, that was kind of a combination of one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Perfect. Well, unless there's anything else anyone can think of, I think that's about it. And we just want to thank you for attending our virtual fair and presenting. We really appreciate you accommodating. We know the time difference can sometimes throw everything.
No worries. I've enjoyed it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll also share the recording with you in case you guys want to do anything with it, but then we'll also be posting them to our website so students can watch them at a later date in case they missed it.
Great.
So thanks again so much.
No worries. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you all in Rome sometime.
Yes, for sure. I definitely would love it. Yes. Perfect.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we're available for any questions need be. So.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.